Welcome to this week's episode of Movie in a Pod. I am Clyde Smith.
And I am Javier Villalobos.
On this week's episode, we are discussing the trailers for Eternals, Snake Eyes, and our movie of the week, Army of the Dead. All right, man. New week, new trailers.
Yes, sir.
Just dropped today, Marvel's Eternals. Kind of weird trailer.
Very weird, yes.
But we got to talk about this, man. What were your thoughts?
Now, I don't know a whole lot about the Eternals.
Nope, nothing at all.
I learned a lot of my backstories for characters through movies, and this is going to have to be one of them, definitely, because this trailer didn't help me out a whole lot. It gives you some stuff. Apparently, Eternals have been around for a very long time. Eternals. They're watching over Earth, help it evolve, and all of a sudden they're now having to go into battle for some reason we don't really know yet.
Yeah, it was kind of funky, man. So it's a weird concept. I know nothing about the Eternals as well, like Spider-Man, Iron Man, the Hulk, all these other characters I know so much about because I grew up in those comics.
I know more about X-Men than I do anything else.
Gotcha. Yeah. Those Saturday morning cartoons, right?
Definitely.
But Eternals, I have no clue. But I look at it like this. Marvel gave us Guardians of the Galaxy. Everybody going in, we all were like, okay, this is going to be weird and probably where Marvel is going to flop.
Can they, though?
They kicked ass doing those movies, right? They did the same thing with Ant-Man. It's a weird character, and they definitely brought like two good solid movies, and Ant-Man's actually getting a third movie as well, so
yeah,
more Paul Rudd. But back to the Eternals, what we got from this trailer is they've been kind of in the shadows and overlooking and helping humanity kind of move through the decades, move through the ages. Now, I guess after the events of the blip, right? Far From Home.
Right. Yeah, it does give us where they're at in the timeline as well. I thought that was pretty cool.
They have to come to Earth for something, Everybody has said it, that Earth's greatest Avenger, Tony Stark, Iron Man, now dead. I guess Steve Rogers is on the moon. Are we just going to say that? He's chilling, right? Wherever he is, right?
I think that's the lore, yeah.
Yeah. He's just hanging out on the moon until he's needed again, but they need to come to Earth for something. I don't know. I just know like Richard Madden's in this movie. He's the young wolf from Game of Thrones. Did you ever watch that show?
No.
It was a lot.
That's the problem. I tried to hop in like 3 seasons in.
Nope.
And I just couldn't catch up, and I was like,
there was too much stuff. There was too much talk about what happened in the last episode, and too much talk about what's happening in the future. So much going on. But anyway, Richard Madden's in it. He's fantastic.
Yeah.
He obviously thinks he could be the leader of the Avengers. So
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. This trailer didn't give us much, but it's still fun to see like a new property that Marvel is working on. They're still trying to deliver us brand new stuff. I like that.
It gave enough for the first trailer. Kind of gave us why they had to come to Earth and interfere because there's a battle about to happen for some reason. And it gave us the timeline. They're dropping right into the cinematic universe. They're talking about Steve Rogers and Iron Man. So, as far as that's concerned, I think we got a decent amount of information from the first trailer.
And can I just say, like, my boy Kumail Nanjiani, he's ripped. He's ripped. Like, he's ripped.
Yeah.
You see those pythons, bro, in that one quick scene?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen him as he's been going through that transformation, too.
Yeah.
As they were getting up to starting filming this, and jacked.
Yeah. So hopefully, he'll be our next Rambo after this. Who knows? That'd be awesome.
Actually, pretty badass. Huh? I wanted to agree with that.
Awesome. And then we checked out the trailer for Snake Eyes.
Yes, sir.
So we got a G.I. Joe's Origins with Henry Golding. What'd you think, man?
I think it's a good character to do this kind of movie for. The 2 movies he's been in, there's no story for him. He doesn't talk or nothing, so you really don't know much about him, and you get to learn about some of the other G.I. Joes in this universe of the G.I. Joes.
For the record, guys, he's talking about Snake Eyes and not the sexy Henry Golding, okay? Dude can act, and he's fabulous, okay? He's talking about Snake Eyes.
Well, yeah, I'm talking about Snake Eyes, the character of Snake Eyes.
Yeah.
No, I think it's going to be good to see a little backstory on him and get to know what he's about and what led him to be in that character, Snake Eyes.
Oh yeah, I like that Paramount is going this route. You know, they could have went Duke Hauser, you know, All American, Gojo, you know.
I wouldn't mind seeing another Channing Tatum movie, but that's just me. Just me though.
Good looking guy. Good looking guy. Carmen's gonna love you for that one. But I like that they went this route with Snake Eyes. They actually have an Asian character playing him. I love that. And Henry Golden, seen him in a few things, and he's that up and coming actor that I want to see more of, right? So really excited for this one. This one didn't give you much either. Just a teaser, but it looks fun.
Gave you bike chases and sword fights.
That's all I need, really.
I mean, that's all I need. I was instantly attracted to this one.
You know, so I want to know, like, what are they going to do now? So this is a Snake Eyes G.I. Joe Origins is the subtitle. Are they going to do more of this? This is like a soft reboot of the G.I. Joe movie franchise?
I mean, you know, really thinking about the other characters from the two previous movies, don't really know who else they could really do a good backstory like this for. I mean, these other guys are going to be playing football and doing science experiments and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's soldiers. This guy's a assassin.
Yeah, this is going to be fun, man. Super excited about it. All right, Hav, let's go ahead and jump into our movie of the week. Here,
all right,
we have Army of the Dead, came out here in 2021, directed by Zack Snyder, written also by Zack Snyder, who was also his own DP, cinematographer. Dude was just all over the place.
Did everything. Did everything.
This was also written by Shay Hatton and Joby Harold as well, so small writer's room.
He had a Netflix budget of $90 million for this one.
Why? I wonder why they dropped that number. They don't ever do that.
That's what I was curious about as well. And it actually, to be more clear, it actually said 70 to 90 million.
Okay.
On the wiki for it, and anywhere else I was searching around because that number wasn't exact.
But let's be honest.
It's probably more than that.
Let's be honest. It's Zack Snyder. He used every penny, okay?
Yeah.
That he could.
And the box office, you know, released in theaters as well. That was very unclear also. So it said it was supposed to be estimated to make like 780,000 at the theater. They didn't expect much out of it there.
Gotcha.
Pretty solid cast. So we start out with Dave Bautista as Scott Ward. He is the founder of the mercenary group Les Vengeance that we'll learn about here. Then we have Ella Purnell as Kate Ward, his daughter. I'm probably going to pronounce a lot of the names going forward pretty terribly, but we'll get through it. We have Amari Hardwick as Vandero, one of the soldiers. Ana de la Raguera as Maria Cruz. Theo Rosie as Burt Cummings. This is going to be a fun one. Matthias Swagolfer as Ludwig Dieter, the safecracker. Nora Arnazetter as Lily. She's a French woman known as the Coyote. Hiroyuki Sanada as Blythe Tanaka. Garrett Dillahunt as Martin. Tig Notaro as Marianne Peters. Raul Castillo as Mikey Guzman. Samantha Wynn as Chambers. And then our two alphas, Richard Citron as Zeus and Athena Parampel as the Queen.
Good deal.
That's a long roster.
You see why I have you do that, right?
Yeah, I get it.
Awesome. No,
that's a long roster.
Good stuff there. Awesome. So before we jump in, go ahead and give us a quick synopsis of this movie, sir.
It's a heist movie. Zombie heist. We got a group of hired mercenaries going in to collect a very large sum of money for a billionaire out of a casino vault. And, you know, we got to get through the horde of zombies, got to get to the vault, crack the vault, get to the helicopter, get the hell out the city.
We have a plan.
Yes, sir.
So real quick as well, where to watch this. This had a limited release in theaters, really quick release. I think that's probably maybe why they released the budget, that limited release.
I mean, that happened quick though, right?
It was like a week. It was
yeah, they're like
a week.
Getting released.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, leading up to the release, it was like all of a sudden it was in the theater.
Yeah, exactly. I did not even know. But right now you can catch this on Netflix, so it is a Netflix movie. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right into these questions and get this answered. The characters themselves, like fleshed out, good acting. Let's just talk about the characters for a moment.
Yeah, man. I mean, a good chunk of the characters in the movie did get, their story laid out for everybody, and obviously that's our main people. Dave Bautista, Scott Ward, his daughter Kate Ward. We obviously learned that whole thing. I mean, other than that, everybody else is there.
Yeah.
We get story out of them, but we don't really get their backstory, other than guys that chopping up people with saws and stuff like that.
Yeah. So this movie, the number one motivation is greed, right? I love that they
100.
used Vegas, Sin City. People go to win big. People go to lose big as well.
But the only one that wasn't in there for greed was Kate Ward, daughter.
Yes, and I was about to say that. So
Okay,
Scott is this mercenary turned short order cook.
the lucky boy.
Yeah. He he was in the army in this mercenary group when they're trying to take back Vegas from this zombie invasion. And, his wife dies during the battle and he has his estranged daughter. He wants to get back close to her and he wants to set them up with a prosperous life. He wants a couple of food trucks and be out and about. So I get his motivations and a lot writing for him. But it kind of falls apart after that, right?
Very quickly.
He's this badass military type who knows his way around guns and ammo. I like that. I like seeing Bautista more. When I don't know how you feel, but when I first saw Bautista in the movie, I was like, all right, another wrestler, big guy turned actor, whatever. But like, I think the more and more that we're seeing him, it's becoming normal. But I think we did the same thing with Dwayne Johnson as well. It was like, oh, well,
yeah,
he'll be some action guy in a few movies, but he won't actually make a career out of it. Now he's the biggest movie star in the world. So Batista's trying to get on that level, not sure, but he was fantastic in Blade Runner 2049, just that opening scene, and then Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, come on, fantastic.
I read a couple interviews that they had with him for this movie, and it sounds like he's pushing to go towards producing and directing and go further than just acting.
Gotcha.
But he's definitely in to the movies now. That's what he wants to do, something along those lines.
And he's doing it well.
Yeah.
So then we go down to his daughter, Kate Ward. This is Scott's humanitarian daughter who hates him. You get that from the start, but loves and cares for the less fortunate. I'll be perfectly honest with you. Her motives extremely upset me. Pisses me off to no extreme. Right? I get it. You have a heart, but like the people that you want to go in there for, probably not alive. I'm sorry.
That, and they did it behind their back. She didn't want them to go.
Yeah, true.
They were like, F you, I'm going. I mean, be it what they were going in there for was, to get their family out. Their heart was, to get in, get some money and get out so they can leave the camp, all that stuff. But I mean,
bro,
going into a zombie town, I don't know what you're expecting.
That's gangster's paradise right there, man. Let's not do that. So she kind of like weasels her way into this group of mercs to go in there, but everybody else is after the money, but she's after finding her friends and this mom so their kids can be okay. Oh yeah, because she has all this military experience because of her dad, right? Get out of here. Whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, then you go down the list of the rest of the group, and as far as like the character stories, we don't know much other than the recruitment scene of the movie when you're going to like Vandero and Guzman. They just real quick, this is what happened, this is what they do. Now I need them on my team.
Getting the band back together.
And honestly, I think the only other one that had I was going to say Lily, the coyote, but she had a good part in the movie, but she didn't really have any backstory. either.
Yeah, she was kind of the guide through there at
Yeah.
first. Dieter, though, got to talk about him. Dieter is the archetype of like Shaggy from Scooby Doo, right? Like, dude is like, all right, I'm
Yeah.
going into this creepy ass place. I don't really want to, but everybody
Yeah.
else is going in. You know, I'm the
Yeah.
safe cracker, but he's scared the entire time and freaking
Yeah.
out, and I just love it. But like, you know, he just like Shaggy from Scooby Doo, he's scared 80% of the time, but that 20%
Yeah.
he's brave and he's a badass and was actually capping some zombies.
Yeah.
Did
Oh
some
yeah.
work, so that was really cool. So
Yeah, he'll be fun to talk about going through these. Yeah, I mean that's basically it. You know, everybody else has their part
yeah,
and they play their
you
part.
know, in regular Zack Snyder fashion, the characters are light with the story, but there's so much action that's in this that takes the place of those character arcs.
Yeah.
It is what it is. So let's talk about the comedy, though. You know, I don't think this movie tried to be funny, but just the cast that you have, it just kind of comes out, right? So let's talk about that.
Yeah, and we ran into this with Be Cool.
Yeah.
You know, it's a strong story getting through what they got to get through, but there's some lightheartedness here and there. There's some smart ass comments. There's just some banter back and forth that makes you laugh, even though it's basically them being at each other's throats.
Yeah. You know, there was funny things that happened to them in the movie, some gruesome funny things that also happened to them in the movie,
Yeah.
which is disgustingly hilarious at times, but that's why you're watching this zombie movie, right? For those scenes. But I do like the interactions between Vandero and Dieter. I think those
Mm-hmm.
two and how they kind of paired up and buddied up towards the middle of the movie was actually really funny.
That was definitely our comedy duo for the whole movie.
No, it's
I mean, starting out like when they first get together, it just starts off
yeah.
right.
Yeah, so that was good. And then, you know, this is a Zack Snyder movie, so it's going to have chock full of action, right?
Oh man.
You know, the one thing that Snyder does well out of everything everybody talks about Zack Snyder for and that he has a lack of, he does do action well. You know, Scott Ward's shooting scenes are fun to watch. It almost has like that Call of Duty feel to it, right? That first person,
Mm-hmm.
the sleeping zombie scene, very cool.
Yeah.
Have you
That
ever
was
seen
awesome.
anything like that before?
The only thing that I could really put towards that was from Silent Hill.
Okay, yeah.
You ever seen
yeah.
Silent Hill? Where they got to get through like the, you know, monster nurses that if you shine light on them, they start going
Yep.
crazy. That's what clicked into my head, that kind of situation. But this one was a little bit more sensitive, I guess. You know, it wasn't just about the light, it was about the touch, it was about pretty much anything that set these zombies off.
They went inside, whatever, and then they had to deal with these quasi-sleeping zombies. They're more like in waiting because they're kind of standing there, but
So they were in hibernation.
That's kind of creepy. You know what I mean?
Well, we get our first real good Deirdre scream right there, don't we? I mean, I don't know how I would handle that if I walked in somewhere and there's just zombies, let alone what was just people standing there. Weren't even zombies.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, I think the one chick in that scene, she was stuck and couldn't really go anywhere, so she starts like knifing every one of them like in the brain, and that was cool. I was like, okay, strategy, get around them, go through them, right?
Yeah, Chambers, that's who that was in that scene, who just had to, like you said, knife her way out.
But you know the funny thing about this, right? For a movie that's 2.5 hours long, right? And you already know going in on it, Zack Snyder is going to be light on the character development. It does have action, and it has some good action. I think it was light on the action, though. What do you think?
I mean, he could have went full out zombie horde from the beginning, but I felt that even that zombie aspect had its own story arc, right?
Yeah.
So with Alpha, they carried a storyline on their own. He could have, as soon as they stepped in, it could have been all out zombie, war. I like the way he did it, how he built it up.
Okay, because for me, like, it was at times, like, when the action was happening, the action was really good and that was really fun to watch.
Yeah.
But then when they were just talking, it's Zack Snyder, so it's just like brooding men talking.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean? And that's just his style. I mean, you can take the same thing from Batman versus Superman. It's just two brooding guys who are talking to each other and arguing. You know what I mean? So that's just his style, and I get it, but I'm just not a fan of him doing that. So to me, if I'm not getting story or good story, let me just turn my brain off and let's just fight through everything. Now hearing your perspective on it, though, and you're right, the two alphas did have their own story arc. There's also Kate's story arc with trying to get to that mom. So there was a lot happening. I just felt like I didn't give a damn.
Right. Well, I mean, there's nothing to invest in as far as the stories of the characters by any means. As far as that, I think if he would have went full blown right off the bat action, you probably wouldn't have sat through the whole movie.
And I think that brings me to my other point there. Only 3 people actually acted in this movie. I mean, Dave as Ward, Kate, and Dieter. I think everybody else was just kind of motivated by greed and filled up screen time. And
I think the zombies acted more than most of the other people.
The alphas and Athena, they acted the shit out of those roles. We never get undead that is that advanced, that smart, that powerful as well. So they did a fantastic job. I just wish more characters would have acted, but because everybody's motivated by greed. Once you use that plot that everybody's motivated by greed, it's like, okay, you're motivated by greed. Okay, you're probably gonna die.
And I get that, but once again, not watching a zombie movie for necessarily character acting, but
true.
I guess it depends on how you look at it. I looked at it as a zombie movie, a different zombie movie where the zombies actually have some sort of story as I was going through it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the characters who, like you said, are basically just there for the money. But really the zombies are there for each other in a weird way. I think we can hop into that once we get to where we're talking about the plot more. But as far as the acting, I mean, 2 main characters and the zombies and the alphas. That's basically everybody else was just around as support.
So, Hav, we talked about MacGuffins during our Be Cool pod, and then I went back and thought about all the famous MacGuffins in movie history. There's actually been a bunch throughout the history of cinema. So we have R2-D2, that droid who has that important message that they have to get to the rebels. And then there's that Ark from Raiders of the Lost Ark that the Nazis are after. And then there's that damn videotape and Enemy of the State that none of our listeners want to listen to, right?
Yeah.
Literally one of my favorite pods that we've done. I love the movie and nobody wanted to listen to it. Guys, is that my blender? Go listen to it, okay? It's fantastic. So we have Back to the Future, which is a fantastic flick, right?
Yes, sir.
There's a hot button topic for a bunch of moviegoers and movie buffs about what is the MacGuffin of that movie. Is it that DeLorean time machine? Or was it that picture that he had with his family fading away? Now, before you answer, Javi, about what your take is, there's absolutely no wrong answers here. People see it from both sides.
Right. And I see it as the picture.
Okay.
The DeLorean to me is more of a character in the movie. But the family fading in the picture is what keeps him doing what he's trying to do to get it all right.
Yeah. Agreed, man.
And we want to know what our listeners' favorite MacGuffins are and why.
Yeah, so connect with us through our socials. It helps us grow our pods so we continue to provide great content. You all know our social pages by now. Movie in a Pod on Facebook, and at Movie in a Pod on Twitter and Instagram.
And don't forget to like, share, and comment on all our content.
Talk to you all soon. So let's definitely talk about that plot, right? And I have in all caps, motivated by greed, right? So we talked about it a little bit. So off the bat, in the beginning of this movie, the first, 10, 15 minutes of this movie, oh my God, just fantastic. Fantastic. Like the setup, scary, realistic, could happen. I'm just like, okay, I'm locked in.
Yeah,
let's go.
The opener was definitely where most of the I'm gonna pull you in happened. Right after that first scene, like you said, it was kind of like, okay, where are we going from here?
Right? And that's my second note. So they quarantine Vegas. Oh, okay. A billionaire wants to send some mercs to raid a Vegas vault, going through hundreds, maybe thousands of zombies to get billions of dollars. I'm sorry, I don't know about you, Javi, but that's a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
But if I have to risk my life to get to that money, hard pass.
Yeah, I mean, that's funny you say that too, because you got to remember Scott in the movie also says $115 million or go back to flipping burgers at Lucky Boy. I'll take the chance on the money. So everybody has their own motivation,
Yeah. I would just be flipping burgers.
Yeah. And as far as a plot, you could pick apart movies like this all day long. How do they quarantine Vegas and no zombies, no infection get out of Vegas at all?
Super weird.
That's just that was the first thing in the whole movie where I was like, I could believe there was a zombie in a container on the back of a truck. There's probably shit we don't know about in backs of containers of trucks all the time. But
all the time.
But yeah, just surrounding shipping containers around Vegas and it'd be isolated. That just threw me off there.
The plot itself, it's cool to see and watch other people do this, but when I think of a plot in movies, I always want to put myself into the shoes to see like how realistic, or is this believable, or can I actually fantasize about me being in this, if it's a magical world or whatever the case is, would I be in there? And the answer is no.
Not
100%. There's just not enough motivation for me to go into the heart of Vegas, right? They didn't hit one of the outside casinos, right? They went to the heart of Vegas. So,
but on that same point, these people were in it before as well. They were in there chopping up zombies. They survived it, so they kind of know what they're getting into. I mean, they had a whole team that they have a name and patches for, right?
Squad goals, bro. Squad goals. I'm
sorry, guys.
I'm out. Sorry.
Yep. That's funny, like the helicopter pilot when they walk up to her and they're like, it's a $2 million or whatever. She's like, I'll do it. Like, we didn't even tell you what it was. $2 million is a lot of money. I'll do it. Some people's mindset's a little different. Like you said, that's a greedy mind versus somebody who just doesn't want to die. But yeah, for me, like the plot of the movie, I mean, I feel like it actually made some sense. If you're in a zombie world, it wasn't like out of the question that somebody would be like, yeah, I'm going to get some money out of this place.
Yeah.
And, we got a solid plan, get in, get out. Me, that made sense. What about you?
For that, yes. I just hate their motivations. I just can't, you know what I mean?
Right.
Make your money else somewhere. This is free money, and I get it, but going through hordes of zombies, I play DayZ on Xbox. I'm not good at zombies, guys. I fail at that. So don't call me for some zombie
download
killing.
That game tonight, actually.
It's fabulous. Oh yeah.
It's a good
one.
Free advertisement.
So, what was your favorite scene, man?
I have to say when we talk a little more about the movie itself. When Theo Rozzi is Burt Cummings, the security guard they hire to come in with him, he gets taken away by the alphas, and when he's in that room with all of those zombies, and he's just freaking out. Like he's on the ground freaking out about everything going on. And,
Oh
and,
yeah.
he's got the queen there looking at him. He's got hundreds of zombies around him. And then he sees the Zeus, the alpha, the male alpha come through the door. And he's just screaming, what the F? What the F is that?
Yeah.
he's freaking out. And I think that was my favorite. Just, with him and the scene, with all of those zombies and the hierarchy of the zombies is what you see there as well.
You're almost like in the throne room
Yeah.
of the king and queen, right? And we've only seen from the perspective of once you get captured by zombies, they're just going to eat your flesh, right? Until you turn into one of them. We've never seen them actually capture somebody, take them into the throne room, and be like, oh shit, like this is...
It's almost a ceremony.
Exactly. Very ceremonious. So it was interesting.
Yeah, that's one of the things that, like I said, as far as the arc of the zombies, we see hierarchy, we see some ceremonies. They don't just eat people, at least not the intelligent ones, because we have what was it, the shamblers, the ones that just run crazy and do whatever the hell they want to do, and then you have like the smarter zombies. And then you have the two alphas. So I thought we saw a lot in that scene. That was my favorite. What about you, man? What you got?
When Dieter has to go to work on the vault, right? And he gets down on the ground and kind of sees the vault floor before they get into the vault. So there's this hallway to get to the vault, but sees that there's some pressure plates on the floor. Obviously, you don't know what things are going to arise or hurt people or kill people. So Vanderohe goes upstairs. He just takes off in the elevator, comes back downstairs with a zombie, and wants a zombie to go through these pressure plates, right, to see exactly what's going to happen and what kind of booby traps are there. But they have to shoot the first one because he turns around and tries to eat Dieter, right? And so Vanderohe just kind of like sighs, goes back upstairs, gets another one, but this time gets warms up a hand, a zombie hand, has him sniff it like a dog and throws it to the end of the hall. And then this zombie is basically going after this heated hand, and it's literally basically that opening scene from Raiders of the Lost Ark. Like every booby trap that there can be, it does happen right here, right? There's the darts, there's the bullets, and then the last one was just disgusting.
I said, is that it? Yeah, that should be it. Then he walks through the third one. No, that should be it. Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, so definitely my favorite scene there. All right, so jumping forward to our last question, what was your favorite line of the movie?
It was a really hard one to choose because there really wasn't a whole lot of real good zingers in this one. I'll tell you, it's not necessarily my favorite line. It's kind of my favorite, just like a little paragraph of somebody said, and it was, I would have to say, Mikey Guzman.
Okay.
When they're going to find him and they're sitting in the car watching that YouTube video of him shooting those zombies, and he's just going through and he's shooting them, and he's like, oh, that was a double headshot. Oh, that was another one. And then he gets like 3 of them, and then he starts calling out his YouTube channels and stuff like that. That little scene and that just had me giggling.
That's fun, man. That's fun.
What about you, man? What was your favorite line?
Yeah, he was a great character. This is from Vanderohe, and he's a different guy, right? So he's this merc. But we meet him and he's helping people like swim in the water or float in the water. So he does have a soft side to him. You know what I mean? Like, even though he's a big guy,
he played a good role in this one as well.
And it's almost kind of biblical in effect, but he says, "It is by going down into the abyss where we recover the treasures of life. Where you stumble, the lies of your treasure." Right? And I'm just like, that's kind of speaks volumes into what they're actually doing, right? They have nothing, I guess they're from the Vegas area. That's where they all kind of still live. Vegas was their cash cow and how they kind of lived and survived and everything. And now that that's gone, their fortune is gone. So they're trying to get it back. And, wrapping it up from what I said earlier, this quote actually puts in perspective a lot of their motivation into it. Still, I would not put myself in there. I'm just like, nope, flipping burgers, let's go. But, I get it. They've been there. They want to get it back. The thing with Zack Snyder, right, is everybody says that he just makes movies for, college boys. I get it. And he does. I totally agree. But he always tries to drop some knowledge on people. And this, just small increments. He does it in Batman vs. Superman, did it in Justice League, did it in Man of Steel, does it here as well. So I got to give him credit for that, where he does try to smarten up his work a little bit. So hats off to you, Zach, for that.
Your favorite line was a lot better than mine.
Yours was more fun, though, right?
Yeah.
All right, Javi, Army of the Dead. How many buckets of popcorn do you give this movie and why?
I'm going to give this one a 4 out of 5.
Oh, wow.
I really like zombie movies. I like zombie TV shows. So, when we talked about this one, the early trailers were both like, why? Right? Why are they going into Vegas in this zombie apocalypse? But we find out it's not a zombie apocalypse. It's a isolated zombie territory. So it gives me a different perspective on the zombies, right? Usually it's the whole world's zombies. Everybody's reanimating when they die, no matter who you are, blah, blah, blah. But this was different. Yeah. And I like the way it was. I like the hierarchy of the zombies. Like I said before, the fact that they run this city, like Lily said, it's their kingdom. It's not their isolation zone. It's they run it the way they want to. They got rules. They have, a sense of humans. Mm-hmm. She gives them a sacrifice. They leave them alone. They can kind of roam the kingdom as they want to, as long as they stay on the outskirts of the kingdom, they're fine. Yeah.
Shout for that tiger.
Yeah, that tiger. And the tiger, watches the line of where their territory starts. There's a lot of rules that's a lot different than zombies just running out, doing whatever the hell they want to and killing whoever they want to. So I really enjoyed that aspect of the movie and enjoyed Dave Bautista. And I thought it was a fun movie from start to finish.
Good deal.
So what about you? What was your rating on this one?
This is getting 2 buckets for me, dog.
I could tell right off the bat when we started this thing you didn't like this movie that much.
I like Dave Bautista. I like him a lot. He has came to his own on how he acts. And he owns the roles that he does. And he owns this role. And I love him in this role. This role was meant for him. I also love Dieter. I talked about him a few times. And he's just a fun character where you don't really see a character like that in a movie like this. But they put him in there. And he does a fantastic job. It's just phenomenal. And he's fun the entire time. Once again, the plot, whatever. The characters, whatever. But what kind of pushed me through this movie is trying to see Scott Ward rekindle with his daughter. Right? That what kind of was like, okay, they've set this up. They got to knock it down. Let's see where it falls. But hell, you could have just took her to Dave and Buster's or something. It could have been fine. You know what I mean? Like. So, yeah, man. So, 2 buckets of popcorn from me.
All right. I'm going to say, I think this one's getting more than 23 views, but that's cool.
Wow. Thank you for subscribing to this week's episode, talking through Army of the Dead. Next week, we'll be talking about X-Men Days of Future Past.
That is streaming on Disney+.
I am Clyde Smith. You can find me on Twitter as I am Clyde D. Smith.
I am Javier Villalobos, and you can find me on Twitter at Mr. J8200.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.